What's going on, guys? Satsuki the Savage here, and today I'm going to be doing a video on how strong is Morel. Now, before I get anything started, let's make things clear, all right? Because with power scaling, I typically don't like power scaling. After the How Strong is Kurapika video, I didn't see myself doing another video like this, all right? But we're here, all right? With power scaling, there are two types in my opinion. There's the one where you try to throw in the math and scientific equations. Basically, you're trying to relate the real world to whatever fictional verse that you're talking about. And then there's the power scaling where you're using the source material, you're actually getting testimony for the characters inside the series, you're using fights that happen in the series, you're using maybe stuff outside like the author having some comments, the mangaka, whatever, all right? I'm using the latter, all right? I don't like when you try to throw in real world context in a fictional verse, because at the end of the day, the mangaka can do whatever he wants and he can disregard any logical sense that you try to make out of something, all right? So yeah, that's what type of power scaling I'm using for Morel. Morel is a very hard character to power scale in my opinion, because he hasn't had that many fights that you can really hook on and latch on to and say, oh, he's this strong, like someone like Hisoka or someone like Chairman Netro, of course. So this is just my opinionated, subjective take on it, all right? I'm not saying my opinion is fact or anything. Other people may have a different perspective when it comes to Morel and how strong he is. But I'm going to give my take. So without further ado, let's get started. So I'm going to start this off by bringing attention to the only negative I have from Morel. We've seen that Morel didn't look too confident in surviving an angry Jajaken from Gon. While Jajaken is a very powerful attack and Morel allowed Gon a free shot at him, he was not completely defenseless, as he still shrouded himself in aura. Whether Morel would have died from this attack or not, we don't know. But again, Morel didn't look eager to find out. Two indirect implications of Morel's strength is his status as a single star hunter and him being chosen to be a part of the Chimera extermination crew. With Morel being a single star hunter, it doesn't directly link to his strength, but it does correlate, because you can't get a status like that being mediocre. Also, with Morel's heroics during the Chimera Ant arc, he was in consideration for a promotion to triple star hunter, which will put him in company with some of the Zodiacs like Cheeto, Parston, and Botabai. In conjunction with Morel being elite by association, he was handpicked by Chairman Netro to be a part of the Chimera extermination squad. Considering the threat that the Chimera Ants pose, being selected for this particular group means that you must have a certain level of skill, expertise, and or strength. This selection wasn't a special case like Palm, Gon, and Killua. Once again, the Chairman Netro, who was probably the strongest human at that time, is the one who selected Morel to be a part of this team. There could be other factors in Morel being chosen other than strength, like his compatibility with the mission at hand, his availability, etc., but I still believe a certain degree of strength was absolutely necessary. I want to take the time to dissect some of the interactions Morel had with all three of the Royal Guards, starting with Youpi. There's a moment for Youpi in his brief exchange with Morel where he speaks words of admiration for the invasion crew before attempting to kill Morel. Now, these words from Youpi can easily be interpreted as praise for the group's valiant struggles, not their strength, but one can argue that being able to fight and endure is classified as strength. However, the other problem with Youpi's comments, although spoken to Morel, weren't solely directed towards Morel, but nonetheless, because Morel was still a part of the group mentioned by Youpi, I can't ignore this moment. The next bit of testimony comes from Neferpito. Even though Pito never met with Morel face to face, she/he, I'll refer to Pito as a she for the sake of this video and other sexuality, had a high opinion of Morel. These two had contact via puppets. Morel's smoke puppets were successfully combating against Pito's, mainly because Morel valuing quality over quantity with his puppets. This long-range face-off was enough to make the ever-so-aloof Pito intrigued to fight Morel, despite not actually seeing him fight. This is definitely a plus in the favor of Morel, because Neferpito, who previously killed Kite, was not let down or bored by Morel. She maintained the same strong interest in the strength of Morel as she did with Kite, who is incredibly powerful. Last but not least, Royal Guard Poof is proof that Morel is no joke. Morel was able to occupy and put Poof on total hold by himself, and this is very impressive when you frame the scenario. Poof is probably the most loyal to Miriam, never letting his own whims jeopardize the well-being of his king. I say that so people will comprehend how desperate and frantic Poof was after the Dragon Dive attack when he was searching for Miriam. Morel trapped Poof, putting a halt to the search for Miriam, and Poof, once again, who was trying to reach Miriam as quickly as possible, didn't try to kill Morel. Logically speaking, killing Morel would have been the fastest solution for Poof to break free, and we know the Royal Guards are monsters in their own right, but yet again, Poof opted to slowly try to escape instead of fighting Morel. Trying to deduce why Poof didn't try to kill Morel, there are only 3 real reasons I can think of. 1, Poof was afraid that killing Morel would have been counterproductive, which makes sense considering Nin after death. 2, Poof was afraid that killing Morel would have been too time consuming as opposed to escaping with his particle clones. 3, Poof was afraid of potentially sustaining critical damage that could have been in detriment to him finding and aiding Miriam in the event that he did try to kill Morel. In all of these lines of thinking, Poof would have to at the very least respect Morel's power enough to try to circumvent his smoky gel. Even Poof himself admitted that Morel could have killed him in chapter 286 had he stuck to the original plan, keeping the smoky gel active. Should've, would've, could've doesn't mean that much to me, but when the Royal Guard makes a bold claim such as that, I had to give Morel major props, even if it's a hypothetical. Now, I've talked about testimony from other characters to boost up Morel's strength, but let's get into some more concrete evidence. Morel, in combination with Nove and Netero, were able to take out miscellaneous Chimera ants with ease. Morel in his first fight with Cheetu was eating his punches like a Popeye sandwich. And while Cheetu is an idiot, he is by no means a slouch. Then moving on to Morel's second fight with Cheetu, even though this fight didn't require any combat prowess, Morel fought a stronger Cheetu to a complete stalemate. The most telling fight for Morel though is his battle with Leo. Now, scaling Leo to get a better picture of how significant Morel's victory was, here's what we know about Leo. Leo, before he knew Nin, retreated when Kite was in the area, so at that time, he was definitely weaker than Kite. However, Leo was a squadron leader who had ambitions to become king, and he led his own personal squad, so in that respect, he's akin to someone like Zazan. Now, is Leo as strong as Zazan? There is no way to know, but if it is fair to place them in the same ballpark, then Morel defeating Leo is comparable to Phaeton defeating Zazan, since both beat their respective opponents with moderate difficulty. Another point to go in depth with is Morel's mastery over his Nin. Morel has boasted about his ability being the most versatile, and it's hard to refute that claim. Morel is able to create virtually anything with a smoke, from humanoid puppets to inescapable barriers. Equally impressive, Morel is a manipulator that uses 2 types outside of his category on a regular. Morel uses emission, which he can only achieve 80% mastery with, as well as transmutation, which he can only achieve 40% mastery with. Despite this, Morel seems to use these 3 types with the utmost efficiency. What really proved Morel's aptitude for Nin though was his ability to fight under immense stress during the palace invasion. Before the palace invasion, Morel admitted that he was only at 35% of his peak condition, yet and still he fought like a beast. In this fatigue condition, Morel was able to put Poof in check, and against Yuppie, he was still able to produce 89 clones that took on the image of Knuckle. Lastly, with Morel being the master of Knuckle and Shoot, he is comparable to someone like Bisky. Mind you, Knuckle is a veteran of 5,000 battles, but he still acknowledges Morel as his master, showing me that Morel is a couple of notches above the already established Knuckle and Shoot. As a quick summary, here are the points I made as a case for Morel's strength. He's a single star hunter, he was handpicked by Netero to be a member of the extermination crew, Yuppie's praise, Pito's eagerness to fight Morel, the fight with Poof, in addition to his comments, his 2 fights with Cheetu, his victory over Leo, his fantastic control over his Nin, and lastly, his position as Knuckle and Shoot's master. All of the feats mentioned can only be achieved by one that is considered a Nin master, or damn near on the cusp. Now, for the final verdict, since there are no standardized power levels in Hunter x Hunter, all I can do is compare Morel to others I think he's on the same level with. Hisoka, Kite, Razor. Those are the people I see Morel standing amongst. While I may have said that was blasphemous just a couple of months ago, I can't overlook or downplay what I've seen from Morel. I think it's perfectly fine to think that Morel can't beat any of the people I compare him to. My only claim is that he sits in the same tier of those characters, in the upper echelon of the Hunter x Hunter verse. If I could grade Hunter x Hunter characters by strength, I would give Miriam a double S rank and a god tier of his own. I give Jean an S rank, I give Crollo an A+ rank, and I give Morel an A rank. Alright people, that is it for the video. Let me know what you think about Morel's strength, whether you think he's in the upper echelon like I think he is, or if you disagree, comment below, but just be respectful, alright? Like, subscribe. Satsuki the Savage, I am out.
Am I dying to live, or am I living to die? Living a lie, with my hands stressed out, see I'm stressed out.